Oh, you're muted, Edmundo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Edmundo Lejon with the City of St. Paul Immigrant Refugee Affairs Program. And thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, please put your name and affiliation in the chat so we know who's here today. This forum was started back at the beginning of 2021 to respond to a lot and provide information for community around all the changes that were happening with the Biden administration around immigration. But over time, it's developed into a forum where we talk about all kinds of issues that impact our immigrant and refugee communities here in the Twin Cities. We're excited today because we have several programs we're going to highlight. And I think, Michelle, do you want to introduce our first speaker? Introduce yourself first and the first speaker.
Sure, thank you very much. So I'm Michelle Rivera. I'm the Director of the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs for the City of Minneapolis, and welcome to today's Twin Cities Immigration Forum. I have put the agenda into the chat. If you can't see it, please feel free to raise your hand. I'm happy to put it back in. And I am also very happy to welcome our first speaker for today, who is Grace Waltz with the Minneapolis Regional Chamber, who will talk about the launch of the Employer Resource Hub. So Grace, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Michelle. And good, I suppose it's almost good evening now, everyone. I'm Grace Waltz. I'm the Vice President of Public Policy at the Minneapolis Regional Chamber. I think I know some of you on this call, so this is going to be old information for a few of you, but I think for sure everyone on this call knows we at the Chamber have worked with Michelle and Edmundo for the past 2 years now, basically, which is basically the entire time that I've been at the Chamber. So Michelle and Edmundo are basically colleagues. Not basically, they are colleagues to me at this point. We've worked together on the Gateways for Growth project, which culminated into the Journey to Belonging plan, which I know Michelle and Edmundo have talked at previous meetings about. So what I was hoping to talk about today was kind of the next phase and how the Minneapolis Regional Chamber is approaching this work, which is the launch of our new initiative, which we are calling We Belong MSP. And there are two components to this initiative. One is a partnership with the organization Alight, which I imagine most folks here are familiar with. They've spent the past year in part one helping resettle Afghan refugees, and now have transitioned to helping resettle Ukrainian refugees. They came to us via Governor Mark Dayton, who's on their board, and I used to work in his administration. And they were looking for the Chamber's help in finding sponsors for the refugees that are coming in. They've anecdotally heard that there's a lot of interest in the kind of business community employer sector. So that is work that we are taking on to help connect them with employers within the Twin Cities region, but also we're expanding that partnership to also bring in additional chamber partners from around the state. So this will not just be exclusive to the Twin Cities area, which is an exciting aspect of this partnership. And the second piece, which is really what kind of sprung from the Journey to Belonging plan, is a new employer resource hub that we're calling the We Belong MSP Employer Resource Hub. And the whole concept behind this was following the release of the plan, we were hearing more and more from our membership that employers were looking for resources to help them better attract, hire, and retain immigrant and refugee talent, because we know that that is such an untapped resource in our workforce right now. And as we were kind of helping in a patchwork way, helping people find those resources, it was starting to occur to us that there must be a more efficient way in order to do this. So that is the purpose behind this hub. And I will put the link to the hub in the chat, so you're welcome to go and kind of poke around on it. But the whole concept is it is an online platform that employers can log into free of charge for them, and there will be any number of resources, whether you're looking for resources to help have someone come in as a consultant to advise on whether it's your HR practices or cultural sensitivity, whatever those specific needs that you have are. If you are looking to, we've gotten certain inquiries that are related to expanding ESL offerings in their places of work. The whole idea is that just any type of resource that an employer can need in order to make their workplaces more welcoming for immigrants and refugees, those are the type of resources that we're looking to offer. And I saw that Ose from Push Strategist is on here. She and her group are going to be one of the first companies serving as a formal technical assistance advisor on the platform. Which the difference with that is something that through a grant that we were awarded through Gateways for Growth, we're able to pay technical assistance advisors to be able to provide a certain amount of contracted time directly to those employers to help with that kind of more one-on-one service. So thanks to that grant funding, that is something that we are able to offer. So I will put the link to the We Belong MSP website, which includes information just about the initiative broadly. That's also where a lot of the existing Gateways for Growth information, including the Journey to Belonging plan, also lives online. And then there's also a link in there to the Employer Resource Hub if you want to look around there. And again, we want to make this as useful as possible. One, of course, for employers, but we also want to use this as a space to really lift up the work that organizations like all of you are involved in. Really lift that up, because obviously we at the Chamber, we know the employer sector. That is kind of where our expertise is. But we know that we are not the experts in this work broadly, and we want to use this as an opportunity to lift up those who are. So I'll put my email in the chat as well. I don't need to take up too much time here, but if folks have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to set up one-on-one conversations to discuss more. But thank you both to Michelle and Mundo for letting me take a little time.
Thanks so much for joining us, Grace, and really appreciate this tangible outcome of the Journey to Belonging report and really moving forward from the goals and recommendations that were identified within that report to actual actions and initiatives that can accomplish the objectives that were identified in that report, including in the area of economic and workforce development. So really appreciate you hopping on to share a little bit of information about the hub, and invite people to, as Grace is suggesting, kind of tool around a little bit on the site. And if there are any questions that people have right now that you'd like to ask, please feel free. Otherwise, encourage you to reach out offline to Grace in the event that you have questions around utilizing that employer hub, or even being listed as a resource on that hub, because I know that's something that is a possibility as well.
Thanks, Grace. It was a fun year and a half, and I'm really excited to see the hub. So congratulations.
Thanks, everyone.
So if it's okay, I wonder whether we can just skip for the moment to government updates. Edmundo, how you feel about that, and then circle back, because I think we have another speaker, but I'm not sure that I see Jane yet. So unless you're here and I don't see you, maybe we can just take a moment to move towards government updates. Edmundo, would you like to start with the citizenship campaign?
Sure. The cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis have come together to initiate a citizenship campaign. It is a year-long campaign to encourage and people, permanent residents in the Twin Cities, to naturalize. Together, the two cities have over 20,000 permanent residents who are technically eligible to naturalize based on the time they've been in the United States with permanent residence. So we initiated a campaign that began on Citizenship Day, September 17th, last month, and we're going to be doing an event every month for the next year until Citizenship Day of 2023, in an effort to get people to naturalize and to learn about naturalization. Our next event is actually this Saturday, October 15th, at the Franklin Library in St. Paul from 10 to 12. Vaccinations, I believe their COVID vaccinations will also be available from 10 to 1. that day. So if you have any questions about the event, you can email Michelle. Oh, here's the flyer. You can email Michelle, and hopefully we can get as many people out as possible. Our first event was pretty successful. We had about 25 people come through, but we also had 15 different providers, and I think there was real benefit in the providers coming together and starting to talk to each other, and there was a lot of collaboration. So we're just very excited about this campaign, and you'll be hearing more in the months to come.
Yep, thanks for that, Edmundo. And we'll share the flyer after this event. After today's forum, we are translating this flyer into multiple languages, and we'll also have interpreters available. We're very grateful to the different organizations, including nonprofit legal service providers, and English language learner service providers who will be present, in addition to, for this month's event, Hennepin County Library, the Franklin Avenue branch, which is graciously hosting us for this month's event. So we'll be sharing this flyer. Hopefully by the end of the day, we should have translations in a variety of different languages, and feel free to reach out to me if you have follow-up questions, or may be interested in participating in future events. As Edmundo said, these are going to alternate between Minneapolis and St. Paul. We're looking at the second Saturday of the month through Citizenship Day 2023, so through September 2023. Happy to answer any questions about that. And also, if there are no questions, we can move on to the next topic. I see that someone else has joined. So Edmundo, if you see Jane joining, feel free to ask her to
Yep, I'll keep an eye out.
speak. All right, sounds good. So the next topic we wanted to touch on is Latino Heritage Month, Latino, Latinx, Hispanic Heritage Month, which is from September 15th to October 15th. Wanted to share a few ways in which City of Minneapolis and specifically the Somos Employee Resource Group has recognized Latino and Latinx Heritage Month. The Minneapolis City Council passed a resolution in late September. This celebration of Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month celebrates the histories, the cultures, and contributions of Hispanic and Latino Latinx Americans, past and present. It crosses over 2 calendar months from September 15th to October 15th, coinciding with the Independence Day celebrations of Belize, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and Nicaragua. In addition to the Latino Heritage Month resolution, there was a Latino Leaders Panel discussion, which was recorded. I'll put that in the chat in a moment. A sancocho, Colombian soup cooking event at the Minneapolis Fire Department, an Immigrant Stories panel discussion. And for our last week here, there is a traditional clothing exhibit at Gavity Commons, which is at 651 Nicollet Mall, running through October 15th. With a combination of traditional and folkloric dresses, which have a tag on them so that you can learn more about the country and the style of dress. There's a QR code that takes visitors to the organization that loaned the dress or information regarding an affiliation group in Minnesota. And one idea behind this exhibit is to help increase awareness of these groups that also plan festivals and events all year round, in addition to important cultural-oriented services and support. Acknowledge the collaboration from Minneapolis Downtown Council and Chameleon Shops in presenting and in assisting in demonstrating this traditional clothing exhibit at Gavity Commons. And I'll turn it over to Edmundo. I know you've got some St. Paul updates to share too.
Thanks, Michelle. The City of St. Paul has selected the 5 finalists for police chief, and Mayor Carter is inviting community members to come and engage in 2 public forums with the 5 finalists. The first takes place actually at 6 o'clock, right after this meeting, at Washington Technical Magnet School. at 495 Rice Street in St. Paul. And the second forum will be tomorrow, Wednesday, October 12th at 11:30 a.m. at the St. Paul Event Center, 400 Wabasha Street, Suite 320. The event is free and open to the public, and it'll be live streamed on the city's Facebook page, and we'll put a link up to the Facebook page in the chat in a little bit. So those of you who might be interested in learning more about the 5 finalists and having an opportunity to meet and speak with the 5 finalists for police chief, I encourage you to attend one of the 2 meetings that will take place tonight and tomorrow morning. Also, we have a couple of job postings in the city of St. Paul. One with the City Attorney's Office of Neighborhood Safety. We have an opening for a grant management and community engagement liaison. It's an opportunity to come and help us write some grants, both for the neighborhood Office of Neighborhood Safety and other programs in the City Attorney's Office. And then our Office of Financial Empowerment has an opening for a fair housing coordinator. We will I'll also post those job openings in the chat shortly. Michelle, any other updates from Minneapolis?
Sure. Actually, I see Christina Kendrick on. I'm wondering, Christina, would you mind talking briefly about the seniors fair? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Actually,
Thanks.
Good timing because I have to jump
That's
off.
meeting. That's how you're finding
I hear
meaning
some
in your
background
work.
noise, so I'm sorry if whoever has that on can mute yourself. That would be awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Christina.
I can be real brief as well. Council Vice President Jenkins and Councilmember Emily Koski are hosting a seniors fair on October 26th. I just put the flyer in the chat. And it's for any elders who want to come and just participate in not only accessing resources, but there's also breakout sessions. It's pretty much a resource summit, if you will. And it's free, and there's going to be free food, free lunch. So we're hoping to get a lot of our elders to participate. And the other event that's coming up on November 5th is actually over in North Minneapolis at the Fellowship Church. It's the Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church. Again, it is a free event. Where this could be very valuable is Trellis, who is our area agency on aging, is putting on this event. And it's my understanding that they will have folks there who are bilingual. And just really to talk about the Medicare enrollment, especially for folks who are not familiar with these type of resources that are provided to our elders. Many times our older adults just choose a plan that's not appropriate for them. Usually it's very costly, etc. So, and again, there's free food. So I just wanted to put both of those opportunities throughout our city, both south and north. And if there's anyone who has questions, I'm trying to go fast on that.
That's awesome, Christina. Thank you so much for sharing that information about things going on in the city of Minneapolis. If there are questions for Christina about any of the events that she spoke about, please feel free to ask. We're very grateful to have Christina, who is a senior community specialist at the city of Minneapolis, here with us today.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Also wanted to share another update from City of Minneapolis. The budget process is in full swing. As we have reported here before, Mayor Fry a couple months ago announced his proposed budget. And there is a process by which the city council reviews the budget and ultimately votes on a budget at the end of the year in early December. There are many ways, there are multiple opportunities for a community to make their voices heard in the budget process. And I am sharing some information in the chat right now on how to make your voice heard in the budget process before the decision by City Council in early December. So links are in the chat. Invite people to please investigate further and follow up if there are any questions, or if I can be helpful in connecting individuals to opportunities to make your voices heard. Let's see. Edmundo, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Is Nazarene on? Nazarene from Afghan Cultural Society.
I think what we might want to do now is invite people who may have community and additional updates, whether you're with a community-based organization or another governmental entity. If you have updates to share, now is the opportunity for you to share your updates, please. Go ahead, Ian. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. This is Ian Owundo. Michelle and Edmundo, thank you so much for all the updates and everybody who's updated us on what's going on. For those who don't know me, my name is Ian Owundo. I am originally from Uganda, so I do a lot of work in the African immigrant community, but also do a lot of advocacy just in general around our immigrant community. Maybe just a little bit more about me. There's a lot of hats that I wear. I do a lot of policy advocacy just in different on different matters. I a small business owner and recently became or I call myself an emerging farmer, and I think that's one of the updates that I wanted to share with the group here for those who do not know much about the emerging farmers working group within the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. A little bit over a year ago, I got involved with a group of farmers within the African immigrant community who wanted some help with advocacy on some policy issues that they were, pursuing at the state capitol. In any case, one thing led to another, and over the last several months, we've really grown to work together very closely with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, especially within the Emerging Farmers office that is currently being managed by Lillian Otieno. I recently became part of the Emerging working group within Lillian Otieno's office. And I wanted to share a little bit about what that group does, because I think in terms of advocacy and just sharing information with the community in ways that the community can get involved. The Emerging Farmers Working Group was through legislative action in 2020, is a group that exists to advise the commissioner and the legislator regarding any development and implementation of programs and initiatives that support emerging farmers in the state. And the commissioner convenes this meeting, this working group that is encompasses organizations or farmers or people aspiring to become farmers, women, veterans, persons with disability, and a whole bunch of other communities, including young people, communities of color. And I will share a link if people want to learn a little bit more about this working group. I think it is important that obviously as a community and as leaders, as we continue to share information, that this is also, I think information on a group that people may want to share with their communities as well, especially with our communities of color who may be interested in farming. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Michelle.
Yep, thank you so much, Ian. Really appreciate you hopping on and sharing information regarding this work group and your work within it. Thank you. Also wanted to share a couple of additional updates. Let's see, Alight, the organization Alight, which Grace mentioned earlier, is hosting Ukrainian information sessions. These information sessions are for individuals who are interested in learning more about group sponsorship and what it means to help newcomers as they navigate their new community and access available services and support. There is one information session taking place on Tuesday, October 20th from noon to 1 p.m. And to participate, you can RSVP at We Are a Light. So we'll just put that in the chat. And then also want to share that there are several candidates forums taking place relating to different positions, including Hennepin County Sheriff. I'll share that one in the chat. If there are any other updates that people have to share before we move on to immigration news, things that are on your radar, things you'd like to share with the group, we'll just give a few moments here in case people would like to raise their hands or otherwise share an update that you'd like communicated to the rest of the audience. Edmundo, you want to take it away with the immigration developments then?
Sure. I don't know if Jane is, I see two phone numbers I don't recognize. I'll just ask if Jane Grutman from the International Institute is on. If not, maybe I'll just briefly touch on the Guaranteed Basic Income Program that the International Institute instituted and announced last month. We're hoping to have Jane come on and talk to us about the International Institute's Guaranteed Income Program, what was initiated with new arriving refugees over the last few months. It is based on a similar guaranteed income program that was run by the city of St. Paul and was funded through private foundations and private donations. The city of St. Paul did provide technical assistance with the program and setting it up and assisting the International Institute in setting up the program. And through the program, there were several countries of origin that were people were assisted. It included Afghanistan, Guatemala, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, Eritrea, Burma, Ethiopia, Nicaragua, with the majority of the people receiving the guaranteed income, 64% were from Afghanistan. Approximately 44% of the participants were living in St. Paul, 16% were living in Minneapolis, 8% in Brooklyn Park, 8% in Elk River, and 4% in Golden Valley. Many different languages spoken by the folks that received the guaranteed income, and they received, I believe, $1,000 a month for a year. They were able to utilize that money in any way they deemed necessary, and people talked about saving the money for when their rent supplement through the refugee programs would end. People bought cars, people bought school supplies for kids, coats, all kinds of things that that people need but usually don't have the money or can afford to do it. So very excited about the International Institute implementing this guaranteed income program, and we'll try to invite Jane again next month to come and give us a better and more detailed description of the program and how it's going.
Yep, I just put some information in the chat so that people can get a little bit of orientation regarding this wonderful program instituted by the International Institute of Minnesota.
So then as far as immigration updates, well, unfortunately, we got a decision on the DACA case out of the Fifth Circuit last week. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals decided the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program violates U.S. law. This decision found that President Obama did not have the authority to create DACA and that the government had violated the Administrative Procedures Act in the way they created the program. Now, the Biden administration tried to correct some of those issues when back, I believe, it was in 2021. So the court did say that the Fifth Circuit remanded the case back to the district court to kind of review those procedures. So basically, the case is really still kind of on hold. No new applicants can apply for DACA, but those who have received DACA can continue with the program while these issues are litigated. The case will go back to the district court for further proceedings on some of the changes the Biden administration implemented, and this case is probably going to come back up the Fifth Circuit and eventually end up at the Supreme Court. So I think we're pretty far away from having a final decision on DACA, but it is worthy to note. And also, Unidos of Minnesota did host a Facebook Live event on October 6th to discuss the decision, and we'll post a link to their Facebook page with more information, and also a link to the Immigrant Law Center, a fact sheet from the Immigrant Law Center on the decision. Michelle?
Yep. And a couple of things just to, number one, say thank you very much to Unidos Minnesota Immigrant Law Center and Ana Petrarca Costa from Mitchell Hamlin School of Law, who gave a very thoughtful and wonderful presentation about the DACA decision on October 6th. One of the things that was really stressed for people was that while nothing is changing with regard to people who have DACA already and are applying for extensions, you can continue to apply for extensions. It is worthwhile to consult with an immigration attorney. And there are a number of nonprofit immigration legal service organizations, including Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, with which you can consult if you're a DACA recipient or you know a DACA recipient who may be concerned about the impact of this decision. We're very lucky also that Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota has also put out a fact sheet, and a link to the fact sheet is also in the chat. In the event that people have questions, certainly reach out to nonprofit immigration legal service organizations. If you're residents of Minneapolis and St. Paul, please feel free to also reach out to Edmundo or myself, and we're happy to direct you to individuals who can offer legal advice. So thank you very much. And I'm seeing a question in the chat regarding whether the Colombian family, thank you, Kay, for your question about the family you're working with and whether they would be eligible for this program. And I'm curious about if you are asking, what kind of program are you asking about, Kay? I wonder also if you may want to ask if we may want to have a conversation about this person's situation offline. I see you're asking about an apartment in Richfield. Oh, I think you might be asking about the International Institute Guaranteed Basic Income Program. And I think that connecting directly with International Institute might be the way to move forward, and I'm happy to help make that connection for you. So thank you for that question. Rodolfo, I see your hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's just kind of a question to clarify, though. I received the information from the USCIS telling us at INASER about this decision, and it says that the current renewal requests are going to be following the process, and also the request for new employment, but the only ones that are going to be not accepted are the new requests for new DACA, so to speak. Is that what I understand? Is that true?
Yes, that
okay,
is
just
correct.
to clarify that, yes, that no new requests, but yes, those who are already there can request renewal along the process.
Correct.
Perfect. Just wanted to know that because we are publishing that as well in our website, and I don't want to create any confusions. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And this
Thank
is
you very
terrible,
much.
terrible news.
Well, also, I agree. And one of the things that I thought was most powerful about the information session that was hosted by Unidos and had the participation of Immigrant Law Center and Ana Petrarca Costa was the recognition of how people have been in limbo for so long and how painful that is to be in that state, not knowing and being fearful and then having a decision and sort of not knowing what that means. So I know that that Mireya Sejarosco has added in the chat that the American Immigration Lawyers Association does have an action alert on this topic. So if individuals are motivated by this subject and would like to weigh in with their elected officials, there's one way in which to do so. So thank you so much, Mireya, for adding that. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Rodolfo, for this question. And Katia, I see that Katia Dawe has joined. So while we're on the topic of updates, I know that we can circle back for a moment. Katia, if you would like to share any updates that you have on global solutions, feel free to jump in and share any updates you have with our audience.
Hello, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Edmundo. Great to see you guys. Hello, everybody. Yes, thank you. So Citizens for Global Solutions in Minnesota is based here in Minneapolis, and we will have 2 events. I might come back in November, but so the first event is our current project. It's ongoing project. We have a movie discussion every month where we give the name of a movie or a documentary, the movie based in the true events or documentary. And this month of October, we have the Golden Rule. And the Golden Rule is a project of Veterans for Peace that you're going to see, I think, you will have the possibility to share for us, perhaps in the chat. But I will share with you our website where you can go and read about the event. It's going to take place in October 20. It's a Thursday at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's over Zoom. You just go in the chat, click in the Global Solutions mn.org, and you go to the tab upcoming events, and you can access the link to watch the 25 minutes documentary about the Golden Rule, which was a boat created to try prevent the nuclear war, and it was sunk. And recently the Veterans for Peace rebuilt, and they are sailing across the country. They have been visiting different cities. They did visit Minneapolis 2 weeks ago. And we will have one of the directors, the journalist Helen Jakar, speaking for us. I hope to see everybody there. And our other event is in November 2022. The former Fulbright scholar and the director of DC-based international affairs think tank organization, nonprofit organization. She's going to speak about the war in Ukraine. She is Ukrainian. She lives currently here in the she has been living for a few years in the United States. And she's going to give us an overview about the human rights problems regarding the war in Ukraine. So with that, you always can go to the Citizens for www.globalsolutionsmn.org, and you go to our upcoming events, and you'll be able to see what the next event are. You feel free to email us if you have any questions, and you can also go into our website and sign up to receive newsletters, so you know when you have an event, or that when we have an event. I hope to see you all. Thank you, Michelle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy. I really appreciate you. I'm hearing a little bit of echo, so I'm not sure if that. Oh, okay. Can you all hear me without an echo now?
Yes.
All right. Yay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that update. Really appreciate it, and the link. We can skip back to, we have a couple more immigration updates to share. And I know we've got some immigration lawyers on today. So if there are things that we've missed that you think are important to cover, please don't be shy. Feel free to jump in. One is the US government has issued a public charge final rule, which will be effective on December 23rd of this year. And I will share the link in the chat, but also want to communicate that US Citizenship and Immigration Services is really trying to do an effective job of engagement in sharing information regarding the changes to the public charge rule in a way that ensures that people don't feel surprised. I know there was a lot of anxiety within different immigrant and refugee communities during the Trump administration, where there were changes to the public charge, attempted changes to the public charge rule that that really frightened people. And so in walking that back and creating a new rule, it does feel like the Biden administration and Department of Homeland Security and USCIS is engaged in an effort to ensure that there is a lot of lead time for community members to understand the new rule before its actual implementation date on September 23rd. Also wanted to share that USCIS has automatically extended green card validity for up to 24 months after an I-90 renewal is filed. So if you're filing an I-90 to renew your green card, your permanent resident card is automatically extended for a period of 24 months. That's a new development. And also wanted to share the announcement of refugee resettlement numbers for fiscal year 2023, which began October 1st, 2022 and runs through September 30th, 2023. The cap is set at 125,000 individuals. So we'll put a link to that, the memorandum on that topic in the chat as well. And we'll turn it over to Edmundo if there are other updates or additional things to share with regard to those immigration updates. And again, I know we've got some immigration experts on the line. So if there are additional topics or you'd like to speak in more detail regarding the topics that we've highlighted today, please feel free to jump in.
Michelle, I do have a couple of questions, and maybe some of the people that are in the meeting today, maybe we can have a little discussion about it. The USCIS auto extending the validity of green cards once an I-90 is filed for 24 months makes me think of something that's been happening with a little bit of frequency lately, and I'm wondering if others are seeing this. You know, in the past 2 weeks, I've received 3 calls from community organizations that work with the unsheltered specifically about people having trouble renewing their green cards and getting documents. We've also had I've also gotten calls with from folks who were newly arrived from Venezuela who were having trouble in obtaining documents because they can't get documents. I'm wondering if getting people's getting their green cards and delay that's taking when those cards are lost, if that is an issue that people are seeing, and if they have any suggestions for how you know, people who don't have documentation might be able to get some documentation. Any creative ideas, because this is sounding like it's becoming more and more of a problem given the delays at USCIS. And can people still go down to USCIS through an InfoPass appointment and get some kind of documentation that they're actually a permanent resident? Is that still possible? If anybody knows.
I don't think they're doing InfoPass appointments right now.
Okay. So any idea how someone might be able to get something that says, you know, I'm a permanent resident? I mean, I think, because I think, as I understand the new rule, it applies to people whose cards are expiring or about to expire or have expired after 10 years. But what about when someone loses the card? That question has come up quite a bit, actually, in the last 2 weeks in my office. That's the kinds of questions I've been getting.
Because I think because if they would still need to file an I-90 in order to get a replacement card, that the 24 months would still be at play. I mean, they don't lose the status itself, right?
Right.
They just
Right.
don't have proof of it. So an I-90 would likely need to be filed in order to request a replacement card, and then that 24-month extension would apply, though they don't have any documentation of it. I do believe once you get the receipt, that is sufficient to kind of serve as like a interim ID.
You know, it is just a helpful reminder that there are several legal service organizations, nonprofit immigration legal service organizations, where a person can do a consultation, and one where advice can be given based on a person's specific circumstances. So if people encounter that type of a situation, know that, you know, Volunteer Lawyers Network, Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, and Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid are some of the nonprofit immigration legal service organizations that do offer legal representation in a variety of different cases for individuals who don't have the means to pay for an immigration attorney. So just something to keep in mind. But that's very helpful general information. And thank you, Edmundo, for asking the question. Thank you, Mireya, for the information that you've shared. I wonder whether there are other questions or updates that people may want to share that touch on immigration-related issues. Go ahead, Mahmoud. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Mahmoud Ahmed from the BCNA.
Hello.
So this isn't necessarily pertaining to any policy updates, but this is an update for the BCNA's community outreach efforts for the fall. Is that okay right now?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Please share. Yes, Mahmoud,
Okay.
thank you.
So in collaboration with the Advocates for Human Rights, we are organizing and hosting the Fall 2022 Asylum Conference on November 18th. It's going to be an all-day event from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Mondale Hall at the University of Minnesota's Law School campus. There is a registration link and an events page that is going to be live. I can share that via mass email, or I can share that with you, Michelle, and you can also help maybe circulate that, I hope. And we have our listserv set up. We're switching platforms. That's why communications are a little rusty at the moment. But next week, we'll be able to do that mass email as well. On November 17th, in tandem with the conference, we're also going to be hosting a community conversation with local partners from a variety of partner organizations that we've collaborated with in the past. And we're also still reaching out to finalize that panel. That's on November 17th, and it's also going to be a community discussion or a discussion centering deportation abolition work and Professor Leila El Halas's work. She's from she's going to be our visiting speaker. So yeah,
Wonderful.
I'm going to be circulating those links and invites soon. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mahmoud. Really looking forward to it. So let me just confirm BCNA, the Binger Center for New Americans at the University of Minnesota Law School, is hosting this event on the 17th. And the links are not yet available, but will be available soon? Or do you have links available already, kind of providing some orientation around the event?
We do. We have one that's live right now. Let me get that.
Super.
I'll share it in the chat.
Yep. And while you're sharing that, I'm just going to share one more immigration related update. regarding the diversity lottery program. At the beginning of each federal fiscal year, Department of State conducts the diversity immigrant visa program. If a person is selected, they're eligible to submit an application for permanent residence. Anyone can register as long as they are a native of an eligible country and have at least a high school diploma or equivalent, or at least 2 years of work experience. Visas are distributed among 6 geographic regions of the world, with greater numbers of visas going to regions with lower rate of immigration. The application period runs from noon Wednesday, October 5th through noon Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. And we'll put instructions, including answers to frequently asked questions, in the chat. And thank you for that link, Mahmoud. Really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing information about the conference too.
Of course, thank you.
Nice to hear from you, Mahmoud. Good to hear you. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise, likewise. Fall's taken off and things are in full gear. And I'm happy to be back and to share these awesome next steps with everyone.
Thank you. Michelle, I think with that, we gone through our updates, and we may be able to give everybody back 34 minutes today.
Crazy. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. We recorded this session, so we'll share the recording afterwards as soon as we can get it up on YouTube. Happy to give community the last word. If there are any last thoughts or questions or comments or just anything you'd like to share before we wrap up for today. We're very grateful that you're here. Grateful to the many people who have consistently participated in this forum every month. We're hopeful that the information shared is useful to you all, and invite you to please tell us how we can do better. How can this forum be a space that is even more valuable to you? So turn it over to you. And then Edmundo, if you'd like to close us out. Laura, please go ahead.
Oh, I put it in the chat. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
But we opened the client line number, which is closed down for a few months, I believe. So folks can call in or dial in at that client line number for the Advocates for Human Rights. On Tuesdays, it's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we generally do initial intakes and figure out if people calling are eligible for any of the services we offer, or if we can connect them to any pro bonos in the area. So I put in the chat, but I just want to announce it in case folks weren't reading the chat. And that's it.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Any other updates before we call it a day? Rodolfo, have your hand up. Go
Yes,
ahead.
if I may, just wanted to mention that at this time we are going to be with you at the Citizenship Forum with vaccinations. Also in Mankato, we are going to be working also with Wellshare International to cover migrant and immigrant workers in the area of southern Minnesota. So if you want to pass the voice, we are going to be offering also services, legal services, and medical and healthcare access for people who are in the area, plus vaccinations and incentives to all of them. That is going to be in the Mankato area, and it's going to be all day long. We are expecting to have there 200 people. At least we have registered that many, who are all the migrant and immigrant workers in the area. So I just wanted to put it on the table for you to pass the voice.
Thank you so much, Rodolfo.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yep, really appreciate it. And if there's a flyer at all, or a link, or if people should just go to the HACER webpage or Facebook page to learn more, let us know.
Yeah, I recommend to go to our Facebook page and Instagram too, and TikTok, or and everywhere we are posting that, and I can send it to you via email if you want.
Okay, sounds good. And very grateful that you're participating, that HACER is participating in the event taking place this Saturday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodolfo. Appreciate it. If no other comments or updates, we can call it a day. Our next immigration forum will be November 8th, Election Day. So please vote and then come to our forum. And it'll be from 4:30 to 6, and look forward to seeing everyone. Maybe we'll have, Michelle and I will figure it out, but maybe we'll have somebody to give us an update on public charge, the more specifics on the rules and some other events that might be going on. So looking forward to seeing you all next month. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for everyone, Katya and Mahmoud and Rodolfo and Mireya, for all who participated and gave us updates. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you on Saturday at our naturalization event in Minneapolis.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye. Hi, Miguela. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to see you.